waiting for the teams to load in here. And looks like our first ban is going to be Kassadin, the Riftwalk. Because Riftwalk is harsh.
It's a pretty scary ability. It's definitely one that I think a lot of people, when they first pick up Cassidy, they don't think about it. They're like, oh well, because his other abilities don't exactly hit weakly. I mean, all his other stuff hits pretty hard too. By all, I really just mean, of course, his Q and E, because his W is more used for the passive. But I think a lot of people, when they first pick up Cassidy, they're like, oh well, the Riftwalk is a blink, so I use it for movement. But then if you think about it, if you stack up that if you have the mana to stack up that damage, it is one of the scarier abilities in the entire game, in my personal opinion. So, and of course on the Crystal Scar, you build a lot of mana items naturally with the cooldowns, mainly of course the famed Frozen Heart, things like that. You're gonna have mana to blink around, to move quickly, and also to build that up and then just pop up at a fight, do tons of damage, and just stick to people because you're also quite tanky, because a lot of mana items tend to give some good defensive stats.
It's like building Rise. You got a ton of mana, gives you a bunch of armor, gives you a bunch of magic resist. Let's see who this last ban is going to be. It's going to be Jace. What?
Alright, so we have all 10 bans out on the table, as you see on the screen. So we have Kassadin, Malphite, Wukong, Maokai, and Darius coming out from Field of Vibe, and Death to Llama's bans were Urgot, Yorick, Jace, Jax, and Pantheon. That's in a little bit of a mixed up order as I read it down the line on the screen, but the two on the bottom for each side were actually done first in the chat room. Waiting on Spawn Legacy's first pick for Field of Vibe, and it is going to be Ezreal getting picked up first.
Ezreal has been a very, very popular champ over the last, I'd say, 6-7 weeks of Dominion tournaments. He's got good range, good mobility. Global ult interrupt is awesome. Very excellent champion. Especially since now that most of the teams, the upper level Dominion teams, own him, because it's like, oh, RP, I have so much RP. Hey everybody, let's play Pulsefire Ezreal, and let's join a game. Let's have all 10 of the icons be Pulsefire Ezreal, except the casters, because we suck and don't have Pulsefire Ezreal. I'm sad now.
So Ezreal is going to be picked up. You know, I just thought of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that I don't know why I've never noticed this. Maybe I did and I just never spoke about it. But the picking phase is drastically different for Dominion in the sense that it's more a gradual counter picking process, like overall team filling in roles, rather than, of course, Summoner's Rift. A lot of people may know if you watch or if you even play ranked on your own or normal draft mode, that it's much more about the lane counter pick. That's what most players are worried about. Of course, in a team setting at tournaments, they of course worry about team synergy. But it's like, oh, someone picked this, I'm gonna pick this for the lane, and we are seeing a Veigar
Please
highlighted.
make that be a real pick. I love Veigar in Dominion. He is amazing, but you have no margin for error because you are so damn fragile. I love playing Veigar in Dominion. He's unfair.
I would love to see it, but I don't know. We've been tricked so many times, man. You know, over time I've just decided that I might be like, oh, we see this highlighted, but then I just leave it at that, because every time I say I would love to see that champion actually being locked in, they never get locked in.
I want to see Veigar so bad. He is a monster. If you run like max CDR or DFG Veigar, like, oh, come on, do it, go back, no,
Nah.
please. He's so freaking good.
I actually think
Dark Matter and his stun are like amazing, because Dark Matter's range and the fact that it has delay means, you know, you can kind of drop it down and you force enemy position, because, well, they have to respond to the fact that it's coming down, you know, because it's something they can dodge. And his stun spans the entire like width of those pathways that lead up to Windmill. So you can just have Veigar sitting down there and just close the door on people, be like, no, you're gonna give us 5 extra seconds to capture this.
It's true. His Event
The reason I
Horizon
say
is pretty
5 is
good.
because it eats their speed buff. Because you run up to it, you got a speed shrine buff, you hit that stun, you're like, okay, let's go, and then you have to get up to the top. And yeah, it's, man, got me excited, guys. I just love Vigor so much. But every time I play him, my team's like, lol, I'll report him for trolling. Vigor's not good in Dominion, so I don't play him for fear of getting banned. It makes me really sad. This is so good. We're seeing a Lee Sin pick. Lee Sin was really popular earlier on in Dominion history, but he sort of like disappeared for a while, and he's made a little bit of resurgence recently. We've seen him picked a little bit more often. We're seeing Rise, who also was a ridiculously popular champion, but has since kind of taken a dip in the in how often he is picked, but seems to be still a regular champion that's seen in gameplay. Kog'Maw's just awesome. We see a lot of him when he gets played. And we're seeing the birds being highlighted. I like the birds. I started learning how to play him in Summoner's Rift. Oh man, he's so good. So good.
Oh man, we are seeing a Evelyn highlight alongside Sinzao, as I mentioned last game in the pick phase. Evelyn got a rework, but see, I told you, man.
They're doing it again.
Every time I mention, I should just not watch my screen until I hear or I should just watch it in peripheral vision, and once I see it being locked in, I should then see what the icon actually is, because I will forever be disappointed.
It's really interesting to see that that Death to Llamas is running 4 flashes. They have a promote. It looks like they're gonna use that bottom lane. Oh wait, we have Thunder blockers up. Oops. Oh crap.
One of these days, I should just put in actual spells that still exist in the game, and just spread them randomly with no. Or I should just have a
Oh,
randomizer and have them random
dude,
throughout
that
every
is
week.
genius.
Nah, I do not do this to troll my viewers. I may do that if I ever cast scrims, though. Now that I thought about that idea, I think that'd
That's
be a pretty
genius.
fun.
You just start that trend. That's awesome.
Can you imagine the discussion that would just burst up in chat rooms? They'd be like, "Oh my, who? They're breaking the meta," and then I take it off, and they're like, "What just happened?" We are seeing champions being rotated for take your pill, and locked in as Sivir, who I have personally yet to see in Dominate Dominion since my career here, which is right around the fifth or sixth one, I believe, like the fifth one. So haven't seen Sivir. But we do have the full lineups. So once again, on the blue side, we have Feel the Vibe. It's going to be Lee Sin, Ezreal, Alistar, Swain, and Vayne. And on the purple side, it's going to be Death to Llamas with Shinzao, Amumu, Rise, Kog'Maw, and Sivir.
I have not seen a Sivir since the fabled Dominate Dominion Zero, where Sivir had a sick blind throw through a house and killed someone. I was so excited when that happened. Freaking awesome. They just walked up and like, sup windmill, I can capture you right now. I'm an Amazon. Very cool. The thing that makes me raise an eyebrow a little bit about Death Llamas' team is they have Sivir and Kog'Maw. I'm gonna guess
Exactly.
that maybe we're gonna see Rise bottom lane. I mean, he's a really good bottom lane champion. He's also really good top lanes, one of those champions that can do both or neither one. And I don't know, having those two attack speed styled characters, Cog and Sivir, that makes them a little bit more susceptible to like Randuin's Omen and Thornmail and things like that. There's a big prevalence of Frozen Heart and other things, so I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, I guess you could bottom lane with either Sivir or Cog too. If Sivir's got that ricochet, that might work. And her harass is good, so sure, why not? I think Cog is better suited to top because of being able to harass people off points. I've got no idea. It could go either way.
I mean, I would agree. I was gonna say that I think Kog is definitely better suited for top because of that
And
ability
Rise
to
has
cook from
Garrison.
afar. Rise is holding Garrison. Shinzao is the other one with Garrison here on Death to Llamas. Otherwise, we're looking at a exhaust and a flash on Kog'Maw. So Kog'Maw is planning on, needing to play defensive, needing to play, that kind of protect myself, still do damage role, which we
Mm-hmm.
do see Kog'Maws often do. And on the other side, we don't see any flashes, but we see 3 exhausts, an ignite, a garrison, and of course revives across the board here.
I like Vayne a lot in Dominion. She's sort of a diet caffeine-free version of Poppy. A little bit slower, a little bit harsher burst damage. Still loves walls with passion. Swain's a champion that I've really liked recently because of his ability to dive. He's just so sustainable. I wonder who their bottom lane is going to be over
We will
there.
have to wait another minute to find out, but in the meantime, I mean, we've touched upon all of that, and it is hard to make any calls, especially if we can't make some good assumptions about who's going to go where. But as you mentioned, I am definitely excited to see a Lee Sin in Dominion. Hopefully, I just want to see Lee Sin gain popularity again because I definitely think his kit is very well suited. But when I brought that up to a lot of the players, the point that came across was that while it is great, other champions can do similar things, but much more guaranteed. A lot of Lee Sin's skills are, of course, skill shots, and there's a little bit of difference between having to stack mana and then having to manage your energy resource, things like that. I always use this example because it's the best example in my opinion. If you watch Summoner's Rift, it's kind of like why Graves is favored by so many AD carry players. Graves can do pretty much things throughout the entire game. Like he can poke and push in lane phase, he can put out AoE damage mid game, and he can put out really good single target damage late game without having to sacrifice anything else. So it's just a matter of efficiency, I believe. But we'll see how that turns out as Feel the Vibe pulls out this Lee Sin in this round 2 matchup.
My computer's dinging at me.
Ruh-roh.
Oh, there we go. We got it. This is the round of 8 match of the DominateDominion.com League of Legends Dominion Tournament number 15. We have Feel the Vibe up against Death to Llamas here on the top of the loading screen. We have Feel the Vibe. We have Spawn Legacy playing as Lee Sin. We have Dynov playing as Ezreal, Armor playing as Alistar, Totalment playing as Swain, and Buddha Rice playing as Vayne. Your casters this week are myself, Gander, and with me is...
Chilver here on the bottom portion. It is Death to Llamas. And we're going to have Take Your Pill on Sivir, Sachin on Kog'Maw, Ragnarok on Rise, Stormfallen on Amumu, and Valandum on Xin Zhao.
I like that Infernal Alistar skin. I haven't seen too much of it. It's really cool. I think you should pair that up with Gatekeeper Galio and just be like, oh, wow, you guys are actually like, for real. I just tried to buy an ability, and I'm like, where's my buttons? It's the one downside to casting. It's like, hey, I want to try and play this game. I'm loading into it. I'm ready to... Nope. That doesn't actually work. Seeing the items being bought here, everything seems pretty standard. Boots, pro items, pots. Seeing a Catalyst on Rise. Seeing a, Catalyst components on a Mumu. Seeing Ezreal with laser beam vision. What's up with that?
That Ezreal.
What is that graphic?
It's his, I believe that's his joke or his taunt. It's the one where he's like, what's the energy level, and it's not over 9,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was going Cyclops mode on us for a second. That'd have been really cool. Replace his True Shot Barrage with the Cyclops laser. It'd be scary, actually.
Based on champion positioning in the summoner platform right now. Okay, I was gonna say, like, Alistar bottom, really? And they just switched places, so it is going to be Vayne bottom, as many presumed. And we are, in fact, going to see a Sivir start bottom here for Death to Llamas.
You know, one time we had a meta, but I think we just threw it out the window when we started doing 10 bans. Hey, meta! Whoop! Go play in traffic meta. It's pretty awesome. Both teams heading up towards the top of the map right now. As you said, Chobra, Sivir, and Vayne are going to be our bottom lane champions. We will see how this goes. It looks like Mumu's going to be the first one up there. Death Llama is reaching it first, and both teams just hanging out, We have the sort of standard, the standoff at the windmill.
Yep, just some pokes going back and forth. We do have a Sonic Wave hitting Shinzao, but of course it's not going to be too devastating in terms of damage. It's the Resonating Strike you really want to watch out for. It has that execution property if he can follow through after you've taken some damage. Kog'Maw putting out some auto attacks here, but Alistar has that sustain, so that's another thing to keep note of, is that Alistar's sustain is pretty good, especially when you're just taking some small trades. But there's the pulverize as Amumu gets bumped out, but it's actually Alistar who's taking a lot more damage. Shinzao gets melted immediately behind him, and then it's going to be Amumu following up from Death to Llamas as the second death for their team, but there are 2 deaths on each side, and Rise is the one getting chased away. Kog'Maw still has pretty good health, but it's a 2v1 at this point as the teammates from both sides come back with their revives. It's going to be a trade between Kog'Maw and Ezreal. Swain, the last one alive, but Kog'Maw, as a Acadian Surprise, is going to help pick him a double kill, and it's back to a 2v2. This is going to be a pretty long engaged skirmish, I believe, as the teammates try to trickle in once again, staggering their spawns based on when they died, all of them using their revives, and it's back to a 3v2 here. And now going to be a 4v4 shortly. Lee Sin has already taken below half health now. Alistar in the same boat, Amumu at half, and Lee Sin actually going to be able to turn around and help pick up a kill as Ezreal puts out that True Shot Barrage, is already level 6 across the wall. It does put out some good damage. That's still going around on both sides. The Pulverize is not going to connect onto Kog'Maw as armor on Alistar tries to chase him away, and he is successful. Kog'Maw is forced to retreat all the way as Rise gets caught by that snare from Swain. All this time, Alistar is now channeling. Ezreal already got some good channels on it beforehand. Ezreal is going to choose not to follow through on Kog'Maw. They just want to make sure they secure this windmill, and they are successful as Vayne secures the Boneyard and picks up a kill onto Sivir.
And Feel the Vibe able to pick that. Is that a fucking cricket? Oh, sorry. Yeah, Vayne able to pick up that kill on Sivir down at the bottom lane, giving Feel the Vibe a 4-cap momentarily there, as the fight at the windmill eventually died down after going to level 6 before all was said and done there. And we have Alistar picking up the Storm Shield in the middle of the map right now.
So Alistar going to have that Storm Shield. That is a big cow, a big bull. And Alistar showing up bottom now. It's going to be Vayne and Alistar, which is a very well-known combo. Meanwhile, top portion of the map, we do have a smaller skirmish, or bigger skirmish rather, happening already. Swain has taken a lot of damage. He is surviving a little bit longer with his ultimate, but there's 3 people on him, so he doesn't have much of a chance. We're at the Boneyard. Sivir's in a lot of trouble. Can't make up his mind as to where he wants to escape to. Not a big chance, and Vayne is going to easily start that channel onto the Boneyard. Alistar going to help to get that quicker channel down. Lee Sin jumps across the wall, meanwhile at the windmill, putting out some damage as Shinzao comes over to start the channel, distracts Lee Sin, and then jumps right onto him to pick up that kill for Kog'Maw. Rise is just tanking some hits while he waits for his channel cooldown to wear off. Ezreal still has not been touched much across the wall here, being able to poke down the members of Death to Llamas as they approach the windmill. They're all pretty low, so they're actually afraid to get into a poke war against Ezreal, even if it's a 1v3.
Yeah, Ezreal with his saving that arcane shift, really has the ability to readily retreat whenever he feels like it. And they are aware of that, so they don't want to try and push into it just to have them kind of rubber band back and forth. Armor heading down the map, Vlandum chasing, but Vlandum getting caught by Buddha Rice there and getting killed. Take Your Pill coming out to throw some hurt on and is going to get killed by Buddha Rice as well. Sachin following this up. I don't know if Buddha Rice can go 1 for 3. No, not quite able to do so. Armor chases Kog'Maw away. A lot of pressure being put on this game by Feel the Vibe.
Yep, they have been doing an absolutely amazing job of controlling the entire map. They are going to get a 5-cap here in a little bit. 6 minutes into the game, they also get the objective with that. So a 5-cap with a damage boost. They're in a really happy place right now, and as long as they can siege Death to Llamas within this area of the first 2 towers, they're going to have a really strong lead before anything is able to change in terms of momentum. Lee Sin goes ahead and picks up that kill. Ezreal already knocked down Rise pretty low. Ezreal will go down, though Rise turning on his ultimate for that spell vamp and extra damage. Meanwhile, bottom lane we see a 2v2. Alistar surviving quite a long while, but will go down as Death to Llamas is trying to turn this back around. The Boneyard has been neutralized, but Swain is at still pretty good health, has a lot of damage over time, and Swain has really good single target damage. So Kog'Maw needs to watch out. Vayne is going to walk into the brush, find him, and put out all the damage that she needs to take him out. Acadian Surprise should land on at least one of them. Oh, going to go for breaking the channel, but Vayne's going to go ahead and secure that tower. Continuing the 5 cap once again. Lee Sin dueling at the drill, but Amumu taking too much tower damage.
Buddha Rice being dived on right now by the members of Death to Llamas there. Buddha Rice is going to get taken out. Tolement's a little bit low on mana. He cannot sustain that Ravenous Flock for too long there. And Rise, Ragnarok, is he going to go for it? Yeah, he is going to continue pushing across the map there, looking for Swain, and long distance interrupt there by Ezreal. Dynov taking that shot. Stop and take your pill. Alistar heading over to that. Hopefully going to try and keep that neutral. Is he going to be able to get there and pull that neutral off? Yes, it looks like he is. Dynov trying to defend this point as best he can, but Amumu is just a little bit too durable for him. He is going to go down, and Rise up at the top here going to get interrupted by Lee Sin. Lee Sin sees exactly what's going on there. Him and Rise exchange blows, but Rise gets the worst end of it. Tolement is coming up here. He just needs to land a nice snare, and he does get it. They are able to take Rise down, and things kind of mellowing out a little bit, but still looking extremely good for Feel the Vibe.
Yep, bottom lane has steadily been a 2v2 right now. Buddha Rice does get exhausted, however, Take Your Pill is solo, gets taken off by Alistar with that headbutt damage, and Buddha Rice dodges Jin Zhao with that final hour into Tumble, using that stealth to get away. He's going to continue running, dodges that artillery, and is continuing to juke these ults from Kog'Maw. That's going to force Kog'Maw to retreat just for the time being. Vayne is still sticking around, wants to make sure that this tower doesn't go for free to Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw has that long range, though. Can he get the kill? He just needs maybe one hit. He will get it, and he's going to turn immediately towards the tower, but Vayne does have Revive, so Vayne's going to start heading down here. Ezreal is on the way. It's going to be a 2v1. There's a True Shot Barrage. Kog'Maw going to walk out of it just in time, but there's a Condemn, and that's another kill going to Feel the Vibe. Meanwhile, Boneyard does finally go back to Death to Llamas, but it's still a 4-1 cap, already down to 16, 14 points on Death to Llamas. They need to start neutralizing towers right now if they want anything to happen. I don't think they'll have time, because they're still caught in these skirmishes, and the victory will in fact go to Feel the Vibe.
Feel the Vibe with a very sweeping and convincing win over Death to Llamas here in this round of 8 match.
Wow. That was a quick, it was 9 minutes and 12 seconds, and, you know, I realized, I believe it was even like 3/4 of the way through that I had the scoreboard down the entire time, because I was just following action so much I didn't even realize it was missing until I took a small pause, and I was like, something's missing on the bottom portion of my screen. That's how much action there was throughout that game, just a lot of movement, and then the 5 cap happened quite early on, and Feel the Vibe was able to maintain that pretty much to the very end.